Hey everyone, thanks so much again for jumping in and checking out the video this week. My name is Travis. For those who may not know me, I'm the Vice President for Church Health of General Baptist Ministries. And I just wanted to jump on, and in this video, I want to talk to you about a leadership assessment that we did this past week in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, there at the General Baptist headquarters. And it's something that for me, it was new, for one, to get to be a part of that. But also, I think for us as General Baptist, it was something new that we were trying out, and I was really excited about it. I thought it turned out really good. We've already received a lot of good feedback from the participants that were there. We ended up having 13 people who came and were a part of that, and we were really pleased with that number. It was really maybe it might have been a little bit bigger than what we that might be ideal for that type of situation, but these are some of the things we're talking about. Again, we tried it out for the very first time, and we're going to be talking a lot about over the next few weeks and probably a few months. Okay, how can we continue to make that better, more effective for the church leaders in our movement? Because one of the things that we've talked about, I'm sure you've heard me talk about and others talk about throughout the General Baptist movement, is the need for more leaders. And so one of the things that we want to really focus on, we're focused on church health a lot, and we're focused on leadership and development a lot. And so this is sort of a good starting point for that. If you're a ministry leader, or even if you're a pastor or whatever, and you just want to say, hey, I just want to figure out, what sort of traits and skills and personality that I have. How can I work best with people? Who are the type of people that I need to put around me? It was really cool. For us, for those 13 people that came and was a part of it, there were people that were in all different stages of ministry. I was telling a few of them, I think it was like, it's maybe one of the most diverse groups of leaders, especially within that like small of a group in that setting. It was like one of the most diverse groups I'd ever been a part of, and I think that's what makes it interesting. And I also think that's I think that's sort of a sign of if something can it work for the person, and can it be beneficial for the person who has been pastoring, who's been a lead pastor for years and years and years. Can it be beneficial to them? And we had some of those there, as well as the person who's just starting out. And so we had several people who were just kind of starting out in ministry, recently called to ministry. We had a young man who was a part of it, who just got called to ministry like 6 months ago. We had a lady who was a part, who is a Sunday school teacher and is looking at ways like she just wants to love and care for people, and she wants to make sure that she's doing it the right way, and how she can expand. And some of her goals are to be to one day maybe lead a children's ministry. And so it was neat to see all the different people and all the different perspectives come together to learn about themselves, and then to learn with each other. And so part of that weekend, we had dinner together on Monday night, and then on Tuesday it was just a full day for all of us. But for them, it was how do you work with others? Like, are you the person who, within a group setting, are you the person who steps up and sort of takes charge? And maybe is seen as like the leader in the room, or you're more of a person who's going to sit back and you're going to go with the flow. Right? How are you wired? Are you the person who's more analytical and you're like thinking through things? And when we're talking about ministries and churches and stuff, are you thinking about, well, what is this going to cost? So are you a planner and you're thinking systems and you're thinking strategies? We had some of those people there. And so it was really neat to see how everybody worked together. And so on the full day that we had together, we took them through a couple of different exercises, and then we also gave them the opportunity to either ask us questions, and we asked them lots of questions as well. So part of those exercises, and I'm sure we'll switch some of this stuff up in the future, but some of those things were just like, okay, if you had the opportunity to go and plant a church or be a part of a church, what type of community would you want to be a part of? Would you feel more comfortable in sort of a city setting or more urban setting, or would you feel more comfortable in a small town? And so we gave them those options, and then as they were broke up into groups, it was like, well, what do you think would be your sort of position at that church? Would you be the lead pastor? Would you be on staff in some area? Would you be a volunteer? Like, where do you see yourself? How could you benefit that church? And so we did that. We also took them through an exercise that was really about to assess their the level of risk tolerance they would have. And so it was like, okay, what is your risk tolerance? Are you somebody who would rather not go into messy situations, or are you somebody who wants to jump at those opportunities? And when you see a mess, you see like the potential there, and that you can jump into that, and you can lead that, and you can bring that together. And so it was really, really neat, and we got to do that, and we got to see how everybody operated together, and then we got to give them some sort of next steps as we closed and as we evaluated them. And so we told them, some of them, a couple of them, we said, you know what, you're probably at a spot where either you're already leading a church, or you have the potential to lead a church. Like you could go pastor. And some of them we said, you know what, you may not have like a gift set of really like a lead pastor, but you have this gift set that in a support level position, whether it's like an associate pastor or care pastor, or maybe it's an executive pastor, like you have a lot of skills that go along with that. And for some people it was, hey, you're just starting out on this journey, and like it's awesome that you're here and you have a lot of potential, and we love seeing that you're excited about developing yourself and those things, and so just keep doing what you're doing. And we think that you could accomplish these things. And so we got to talk to them through that, and then sort of the exit interview process with many of them. And yeah, then they get next steps and stuff. They're going to be assigned a coach who's going to follow up with them. And for many of them, and I'll tell you this too, because you may be, well, a couple of things. I'll tell you about this one first. You may be interested in this, and this is sort of a next step for many of them was, hey, we're going to be doing some leadership cohorts next year, early next year, 2025, that are going to kind of walk you through some more leadership development. And so one of those cohorts is going to be about leading others, and it's based on a lot of Mac Lake. If you came to the summit, you got to hear Mac Lake speak, and his leadership pipeline and all the stuff that went along with that. And so we're going to take his content and that information, and we're going to build a cohort around that. And so one of those things was leading others, and so that's sort of like the first step in the process. And then there's another group that's beyond that. It's called leading leaders. And so if you're overseeing a kids ministry, or overseeing maybe even like a Sunday school ministry, or overseeing a church where you're leading different staff or whatever it might be, that could be a great group for you, because you're going to learn the skills and the traits that are valuable to you when you're leading people, right? Whether you're leading just volunteers, or in the other cohort, whether you're leading leaders of ministries or leaders of areas, small groups, whatever, Sunday school classes, if you're doing that, they're going to teach you the traits and things that go along with that. So that's going to be happening in the new year. Well, we recommended several of those cohorts to several of those who came out of the assessment. And but that's also going to be open for any church leader, any pastor, whatever that feels like, hey, that would be a great step. I'd love to be a part of that. So that'll be beginning in the new year. You'll be hearing more about that this fall, and as we get kind of close out the year, we'll be pushing that a whole lot more. But if you have questions about it in the meantime, hey, feel free to reach out. All of that will be done online as well, and so we want to make it easily accessible for everybody. And so yeah, those will be done through like Zoom calls or something like that, so that you can be a part of that as well. The other thing, leadership assessment. Maybe you thought about coming, or maybe you thought about sending somebody from your church to come and be a part of that, and you weren't for sure about it and stuff. Maybe it was short notice for you. We're going to be doing another one of those in the spring, and we haven't set the exact date yet, but just know we're going to do 2 or 3 of those a year. And because we think really it's going to be a valuable spot, and it's kind of like a jumping off point for a lot of people to figure out, okay, where do I go from here? And so we're excited about that. Like I said, we're kind of still talking about this one, how we can do things better, but we're going to be having another one in the spring, and we'll be getting dates out for that probably in the next few months as well. And so if you have questions about that, or you're like, hey, I definitely want to be a part of the one in the spring, or I know somebody who needs to be a part of that, please let us know, and I'll make sure to keep you informed on that. All right, thanks so much for watching today. I'm coming back to you next week, and we'll probably be talking about some other stuff. I got a topic that I'm excited about for next week as well. And so until then, I hope y'all have a great week, have a blessed week, and yeah, I'll talk to you next week. Thanks.